Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you for being here today. How is everyone doing today? Happy Hump Day. It's Wednesday. 2 more days to go, right? I hope everyone is doing well and that all of this information that's being provided here is helping you one day at a time. So, before I get into the topic today, actually, I'll tell you this first. We're going to do a continuation of yesterday's topic on healing from a narcissistic relationship. This is going to be part two of it. However, before we go into that message, I wanted to tell everyone please be careful of scams. Someone had contacted me and she was telling me about this horrific scam, and she was very upset about it. And please be careful. And I know about these things because in the past I have been scammed a few times myself, and it's not a good feeling. It's just it makes you angry. It's just you just have to be careful because there's so much that's going on in this world today. People do, it feels like people do anything today for money. So, one of the things that I can tell you about these scams from my personal experience is that after I've gone through it a couple of times and it happened to me, what I can tell you is that read everything carefully, ask questions. Like, for example, if you get an email about IRS or something like that, etc., so forth. The IRS will never email you. That's number one. To talk to you about a bill or whatever it is, whatever the situation is, they will always send you a letter in the mail. They're not going to email you about anything. Research, do thorough research before you give any money to anyone because I'm going to give you an example, and I didn't fall for it. I read between the lines because I almost brought myself in that situation. I think this was a few months ago. I got to my phone a text from the bank that I use and stating that they needed me. There was a link attached to it telling me that I needed to verify my information because something about some kind of fraudulent situation. And the logo, everything looked like it was from my bank. And actually, I think I did click on the link because I wasn't thinking at the time until the next page after you click on that link asks for my information, like my contact information, and then it asks for my account information so that they can investigate whatever. And then I said, wait a minute. So what I did, I stopped, I called my bank and asked them, and they told me it was a scam. When you don't know something, call and find out. Another example is I told everyone yesterday that I finished my third book and I'm researching, what company I want to use to publish it. So I got something suspicious, and it's always, I ask a lot of questions. People don't like that. And I also research from a specific company saying A, B, C, and D. And I read through the email, and I've gotten these before. A lot of times there's misspelled words within the content, but it wasn't. So they asked me to reach out to them and blah, blah, etc. So what I did is research the telephone number to that particular company and called. I'm not going to call the number that they have listed within the email. So that's another thing. If you get an email saying A, B, C, and D, it doesn't necessarily have to be, like in my case, from a publishing company, but it can be any kind of email saying that there's a problem with your account or you owe money for this that you didn't pay. Do never call the number that's within the content of the material or whatever it is, because They can use the logo of whatever that place is, like a lighting company or whatever. They can do that and make it look authentic. So research what the number is, call, and then verify if they sent this to you. 9 times out of 10, it's a scam. And that's what I do when I get these things. I read through them, etc., and then I search the number. Forget about the number that's in the email. I'm going to find a number, by researching online, and then calling them and asking them, hey, did anybody in your office send me this email about A, B, C, and D? And when they say no, then the email gets forwarded to the Federal Trade Commission Department, because that's what I do with those now. And I contacted them and said, listen, I'm getting a lot of scam emails, and I was getting phone calls that said A, B, C, and D, leaving messages. I look up the number, I find out what it is, call the company and find out it's a scam. So before you do anything else, people, please make sure that you verify the emails. If you're getting emails, any phone calls or whatever, make sure that you contact the company in question. Don't call those numbers, because those numbers are associated with the scam. So research and find a number and call and find out if those companies have actually reached out to you. Because like I did with my bank, it wasn't from my bank, it was a scam. And if I would have put in all the information requested, they would have stolen from my account. So be careful with these scams, because they're getting really sophisticated now with the things that they do. Always take that extra step. Let your intuition guide you in these things. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Don't do it. Just take that extra step to contact the company in question, to find out if anyone there sent you anything. And that's the information I'm giving you today, before we get started with this discussion, because a lot of people are getting scammed. People getting scammed out of their life savings and other things. So anything that someone send me or say, and they hate this about me, I'm going to research it. I had a guy contact me earlier about something. He's contacting me, and I respond to it, and he said something sarcastic about what I said. Who is this? Where are you from? And he says, I know you're from New York, and et cetera, and this and that. And I'm like, I no longer live in New York. I haven't been there in quite some time. Is there anything else I can help you with? And that was the end of it. Because these scams always start with something. And what I notice is the same overtone, the same, kind of situation within the emails and the tone of voice and all this stuff. And I've gotten familiar with it. And once I verify stuff and find out it's a scam, I send those emails to the Federal Trade Commission. And that's important to do that. I don't have that information in front of me, but if you Google Federal Trade Commission in the area where you live, a phone number or an email, the contact information should come up. And what I would do in the like when you Google email address to Federal Trade Commission in whatever area that you live, and then and a phone number, because you can call their office too. But sending an email and going to their website and send all that information to them, so that they can have it on file, and they do their own investigation in reference to that, because that's awful, people, that people are out here scamming people. I had a guy come up to me about like 2 months ago. I was in Cumberland Farm getting gas, and I stopped in to use the bathroom. But before I went in, he was trying to talk to me and saying, this guy's a lot younger than me, and he was saying all these things. And I just looked at him, how nice you look, etc. Right away, after certain things, his body movement and everything he was saying, I know that something is not right. So after I came out to pump the gas, he was waiting there. He had the nerve to come up and ask me for some money. Most women would get mad and say choice words. I looked at him and laughed and laughed and laughed and walked away. But I did say, "This is a joke, right?" And walked away. I had no words because I already knew that something was not right because I listened to my intuition. When something don't feel right, and why would he come up to me? So I've gotten familiar with different types of scams, and just be careful because people out here today are coming up with new scams and new ways to steal from people. So just be cautious and take that extra step to research, what they are saying to you so that you don't fall into a situation of loss, losing, because that's really awful. So let's get to it today. We're going to talk about part two of healing from a narcissistic relationship. I jumped in yesterday and talked about this, and I gave some examples. Like what I do here, I'm not a therapist of any sort whatsoever. I'm just sharing information with people here to help them to, recover from grief and pain and how to heal those things, what I did to heal, because it can help you as well. So we were talking about relationships yesterday, narcissistic relationships, and all of these things that I'm implementing is part of the healing. Also, it's related to healing, grief and healing, because relationships and narcissistic things that is abusive and toxicity, all those things cause pain. And at some point in time in our life, we have to heal from it. So all of these things is about healing as well. So I was talking about relationships yesterday, and I took some more notes here. A relationship, I'm going to emphasize this, people. A relationship is supposed to enhance your life, not destroy it. A relationship is supposed to enhance your life, not destroy it. In the beginning, it's all good and it's romantic. It feels good, that this person is showering you with, gifts and, oh, I want to get to know you, etc. And when that wears off, and, and I'm talking in reference to narcissism and narcissistic individuals, they wear a mask and they wear it real thick. And it's hard to see behind that mask, because they want to get you in the palms of their hand. They want to trap you into their narcissistic ways, and it's all good. But when that mask starts to fall off, you really start to see behind that mask, you see this demon monster behind it, So just because something look good and it sounds good may not be good at all. And this is what I'm talking about. So yesterday I was talking about a situation where I had years ago um, with a narcissistic ex, and I was in that relationship for 10 years. And I was talking about when I was in college. That's when I started, because I took a lot of literature and writing classes, communication classes, etc. Um, I started to actually start writing. And when I wrote my second book, and this ex, I don't know, just changed, as I was going to school and spending more time, because I'm always doing things so I can better myself. And this narcissistic ex, came to my book event. With my first book, I think, yeah, it was my first book. In New York City, I had this book event, and 30 to 32 people showed up. My best friend at the time, who was still alive at the time, came to my book event, and I was so happy because I hadn't seen her for a while. I've known her since I was like 12 years old, and she was there, and I was happy to see her. My ex came, and I talked about my book. There was people there I didn't know because I had advertised the event, and I had someone to help me with it as well. And so 32 people showed up, and it all went well. And then we decided to go. Some of us decided, about 10 or 12 of us decided to go to dinner afterward, and my ex went as well. And at the dinner table, my ex was flirting with this woman. I knew of this woman, didn't really know her well, seen her a few times before at some support groups that I used to go to and she attended. And my ex exchanged numbers with her right there at the table. And I'm sitting next to my best friend, and my ex is sitting across from this woman. And my best friend had taken a train and bus to come to this event, and I drove her back home. I was feeling like people. I don't even know how to say how low I was feeling. And that's why on this channel, I always talk about self love, because I was feeling so low behind it. And actually, my ex actually started dating this woman for about 4 months until she decided that she didn't want that relationship. She was going to reconcile with her ex. And let me tell you how low my self esteem was at that time. I was hurting those 4 months and pain, etc. Right? And as soon as that ended, probably a few weeks after, my ex wanted to reconcile with me, and I was angry and upset. Don't you know I went and reconciled? And I look back, the Lisa I am today, I look back on that and say, what the hell was wrong with me? But it was a learning experience, people, because I had to know my worth and to love on myself. When you don't love yourself, or you don't know how, and your self-esteem is shot, because a narcissist will make you feel that you're low. At first they will build you up like you're that queen, and they will give you and shower you with gifts, etc. And then once they got you hooked in, they will make you feel lower than a piece of crap on the ground. And 10 years of that back and forth, in and out of that, my self-esteem was shot. And at that time, that, like, I was like hurting so bad. And yeah, I went back in, and each time I went back in, it got worse. But that was like, wow. And and when I went back again, it was good for maybe a month or two, and then it went back to the toxicity. And the toxicity was worse than before. And believe me, I rode that bus until the wheels fell off. I gave and overgave, and then some, until there was nothing else left to give. And I had to learn, because, you know, people sometimes come into your life, in our life, for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I add an extra one to that by saying a lesson, because most of these things are lessons for us to learn. And then when we don't learn the lesson, we got to spin that wheel again and ride that wheel again. Believe me, the second and third time riding that wheel is going to be worse than the first experience of pain that you had. And I had to learn. I rode that wheel until the wheels fell off. But I was emotionally and everything else, I was just, in pain that at the end of this ride, this 10-year ride, pain, that unbelievable pain. And, I didn't really start to learn about loving myself and healing until after I lost my mother, dog, and everything else, that I matter, and that you guys matter too. Loving yourself, because when you love on you, there's certain things you're not going to tolerate and put up. You're going to put things on the table, communicate, etc. What your needs are, what their needs are, etc. Because a relationship is supposed to enhance your life, not destroy it. And I just wanted that family environment, something within me that say, let's just ride this and try to, and I thought my ex was going to go to therapy and do all these things. Please. It was an illusion, you know, one that I believed over and over again. But when I realized finally that it was affecting me, my son, and the last time, the last go around was the last go around, because I couldn't take anymore. I didn't have anything else to give. And it got physical a couple of times, and that was it for me. And, but I had to learn to love me, and that I'm worth it, and that I didn't deserve that crap. But it was a lesson. And I went through it 3 times like in baseball, 3 strikes you're out, in order to learn that, hey, this isn't it. And I had to really get off that ride and do a lot of therapy, a lot of soul searching, why, I couldn't let go of something that wasn't good for me, etc. And I had to learn that I was worth it. And when you do certain things and you question yourself, don't beat yourself up, because these things are learning experiences. What doesn't break you will make you stronger. And as you go through and you get strong and better, and you realize, okay, I'm worth it, I don't deserve that crap. So the next go around, you're going to be watching for signs of things, because sometimes the lesson come back again, you know and you see the same traits of the first lesson. And I've been through that too, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Because when you learn and you start to heal and get better, you start to realize, I don't deserve that. And that's what I had to do. you know and it just I have some notes here, people. And and I just it was just so difficult for me. But like I said, it just I had to learn. It was a lesson. It wasn't something that was supposed to stay in my life a lifetime. And it doesn't even have to be a personal relationship like what I'm describing. It could be a business situation. It could be, relatives or family situation. As you get better and stronger, you would decide who you want to keep in your life and what's toxic that you don't want in your life. Like, for example, when I was a teenager, I was, have a relative that, I don't know. I don't know how this happened. It's been so many years ago. Had a falling out with me over a pair of shoes that was purchased for me, that this relative decided to purchase for me. I don't remember all the details, which is funny because it's been so many years ago. However, this particular relative held a grudge all these years. And I didn't realize how deep that grudge was. Excuse me, people. I didn't realize how deep rooted it was until my mom was passing away and dying. And I was so grief stricken. I called this relative to say, hey, we just got a call from the doctor that mom just passed away, blah, blah. I was in shock when I got cursed out, and a lot of horrific things that was said to me and etc., to the point where I had to hang up. But I realized that, this is toxic. And, I realized who this person was because the mask is off now and I see behind it. And I don't like what I see. I see the toxicity. And it's a lesson, and this grudge is so deep, rooted, that it hurt me really bad. I was hurting real bad. The lies, the deception, all of this stuff, and people who, and his family, certain family members, and certain things like that. And now, the least I am today, I just leave people where they are. I accept that this is what's behind the mask, and I'm going to leave it as is. I will try to, resolve things. But if it's unresolvable, that is a resolution to walk away and leave people where they are. And that's my decision when things are extremely toxic, because I'm not going to do it, because I've been through too much and I've done too much work to heal. And I'm not talking about little arguments that we have in general. I'm talking about deep rooted toxicity, because I've healed a lot of that. And I'm not going to allow myself to regress into the old version of myself. And so I leave that where it is. But I stay in prayer a lot, with God, asking him to help me, because a lot of these things were so overwhelming, and a pain and everything in the work. And my therapist is great, because he helped me to work through a lot of these things. I had to look in a mirror and say, why am I putting up with certain things? Just because it's family, just because it's A, B, C, and D, but it's toxic. And it's not, it's doing me more harm than good. And I had to learn that. And my therapist always had me to do a list of the pros and the cons of a situation. He never say don't do this or yes do that. He just says, he gives me homework, and after I come to the realization of what's the reality of a situation, then I come to a conclusion, a decision. So all I can tell everyone here is to set boundaries. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, you address it, communicate it, sit down, try to resolve it. And if it continues, establish boundaries. And that's what I do. Please share this message with other people here, because someone may be going through all of the things that I mentioned here, and you may not know about it, because they keeping that to themselves. But if they see this video, they know there's hope out there. Google a therapist in your area, whatever state you are from that you're watching this video, and get connected to a therapist so that you can have an outlet for the pain and start doing the work. Rome wasn't built in a day. Nothing ventured is nothing gained. But take those baby steps, and eventually, as you start to grow and feel better, you expand. And when we feel better, we do better. Our mental and physical health is everything. Please make that a priority. And if you can, get connected to grief bereavement groups, because you're going to hear stories similar to your own stories and how other people address them and what they did to make it better for themselves. That's important, to get better so that we can do better and pay it forward. Learning to turn pain into a purpose, and purpose into power, and then power into paying it forward to help other people so that they can do the same. Thank you all for being here today. Share, subscribe, and hit that like button. And I'll be back tomorrow with a new message. And please take care of yourself always. So stay tuned until tomorrow. This is Lisa, always shedding love and light. Bye for now.